Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to Imperator Rome, as we are playing as a Roman Republic, or I should say Imperator. Apparently I've been pronouncing that wrong. Now Imperator, from my understanding, is a pretty popular mispronunciation of the word, so much so that when you look it up, there's a lot of places that'll say that it's okay to say it that way, but apparently in Latin the correct way of saying it is Imperator. So I'll try to remember to say it that way from here on out. However, I've been saying it the wrong way for so long that I do assume I'll probably mess up here and there and continue saying it that incorrect way. But I'll try. I'll make an effort to pronounce it the right way. Apparently, there's quite a few things I've been pronouncing the wrong way that people have just now started to point out, and when we come across those, I'll mention them. Before we get started in today's episode, I did want to mention one thing, and that is that we are not going to have a video on Monday as usual. I don't typically put videos out on Monday unless the series just started that weekend, like that Friday or Saturday or Sunday or whatever. Otherwise, we don't have videos on Monday. So the next episode will be on Tuesday. So due to popular request, we will be having the first historical lecture today about the Etruscans. Now, do keep in mind, if you haven't been in any of my series before that have these historical discussions, if you want to skip them, if you don't want to watch them, I do post a pinned comment that'll have a timestamp that'll allow you to skip right to the gameplay. So if you don't care about any of this, then you don't have to watch it. A lot of people do find that it adds some context to what's happening in the world, adds a little bit of flavor, kind of knowing what's going on with characters historically at this time, or countries or tribes at this time. A lot of people find it adds a little bit of context to the situation and the gameplay, so you could always try this one out, and if you don't enjoy it, then with the next one, go ahead and skip right past that. Also, I'm going to try and keep this under 10 minutes. We'll see if I can make that out. Well, I'm definitely going to go over it, but I'll try and cut it down so it'll be under 10 minutes or somewhere around there, so we don't get into those very long lectures that I had in that Egypt campaign where we were 20-25 minute discussions here. So I'll try and keep it a bit shorter than before. So the Etruscan civilization started sometime in the 10th century BCE. We don't have an exact date because we have not been able to fully translate the Etruscan language. We can read a little bit of it, but not all of it. So therefore, we have to rely on Roman and Greek sources. And as you'll see later in this discussion, they might not have had a very favorable view of the Etruscans since they were enemies of the Etruscans at some point in their history. So much of what we know of them does come from their enemies, so therefore it might not be entirely accurate. However, the Etruscans are known for creating very elaborate tombs. They were a tomb civilization. The tombs are typically family tombs, so they would say build a tomb and then the whole family would end up being buried there, multiple generations. So we've actually been able to learn a lot about the Etruscan culture from the archaeological evidence of these tombs. So let's just kind of talk about their society and their government, how they're set up. So they had a city-state system, very similar to the Greeks. However, unlike the Greeks, they were a bit more united. The Greeks are very known for how disunited they were and how they're constantly fighting with each other. You don't see as much of that with the Etruscans. There certainly was some conflict between city-states, but they're more known for their federations, their Etruscan leagues, where the city-states would all kind of join into one big alliance, and or they'd have 2 to 3 alliances, and typically the alliances didn't fight each other. So you might have 3 Etruscan alliances, 3 Etruscan leagues of city-states, and they usually didn't fight each other. Instead, they focused their aggression on outside powers. So in that sense, they had a similar system to the Greeks. They just weren't as divided. They were kind of close to a theocracy in a way. The priesthood had a lot of power in these city-states. However, they were also an oligarchic republic, or they weren't initially, but in the 7th century they became an oligarchic republic. They were a monarchy in most of the city-states. And again, we are talking about this is not one country. These are city-states, so it's not, all this isn't true for every single one of these city-states. Some of them actually remained monarchies throughout the entire Etruscan history, but the majority of them did become oligarchic republics, similar to what we saw in Rome. Culturally, they're very influenced by the Greeks, as the Romans were, but they also had some unique aspects of their culture that you don't see in Roman or Greek society, and one of them is the way they looked at women. Women were much more freer in Etruscan society than they were in either Roman or Greek society, where women, there was very patriarchal even here in Etruscan society. Most of the ancient world was patriarchal. So it certainly, I'm not saying it wasn't a patriarchal society, it was, but the women did have a lot more freedoms, a lot more rights to participate in society and even in government than you'd ever see in Rome or in Greece. Now, the Etruscan economy was heavily reliant on mining. They would mine the copper and the iron that you found in their homeland here, and they made a lot of money trading that off. So they mostly traded with the Greeks. The Greeks at this point were here in much of southern Italy, as well as over here in southern Gaul. And they would trade with the Greeks and became quite wealthy off of that. And that's how you ended up getting this oligarchic republic, where you had an aristocracy that was enriched by the trade with the Greeks and later with the Carthaginians. So they had a very rich and powerful nobility. The area where there was their key homeland was the area of what we call today Tuscany, and that actually comes from the name of the Etruscans in Latin. The Romans called them the Tusci, and very much like where modern Tuscany is, which modern Tuscany I think runs from right about up here somewhere all the way down to, I think it would be this province right here. Yeah, this province right here I think would be the southern part of modern Tuscany. And that was very much their homeland. And again, they were called the Tusci by the Romans, and the region would take their name after them. Now, I think here in the game, yeah, they have this province here, or this state here is called Tuscia. But again, I think it should be more up this way here, and that might have been the correct name for the Roman province. It probably is. But again, modern day Tuscany and the homeland of the Etruscans where they originated was here. Eventually, they would start expanding out of this area, expanding into the south and expanding up north. This was the area that was dominated by the Gauls. And the Etruscans would eventually push, during their kind of heyday, would push all the way up to this area here, up to this line. They defeated the Gaelic tribes that were in the area and came to dominate the north here for quite some time. They also pushed down into the south, and eventually they came to dominate the area that would be Rome. Now, Rome was, at the time, just a bunch of tribes around the hills areas. There wasn't really much of a society there at all. There is the question of whether Rome was an Etruscan culture, Etruscan people, or whether they are, as the Romans claimed, a different people that came and settled here from another place, the Latins. Now, of course, the Romans claimed that they were the descendants of the Trojans, and that's part of their mythology that they created later, hundreds and hundreds of years after the founding of Rome. How much of it is true? Probably not much of it. There's very much propaganda during the time of Augustus. So we have no idea where the Latins came from exactly, but we do think that there is a chance that they really did come from somewhere else, but were then heavily influenced by the Etruscans. But the Romans would eventually become a part of Etruscan civilization. And it's important to note that this was, the wars that we'll later talk about between the Romans and the Etruscans were not, wars between two separate civilizations. They were very much looked at as wars between Etruscans, or at least that's the way the Etruscans looked at it. The Romans looked at it in a different light, and again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the Etruscans looked at it as this was just almost like a civil war in between Etruscan city-states. Eventually, the Etruscans found themselves coming into conflict with the Greeks, and the Greeks again were here in southern Gaul. They were also in southern Italy, and there was certainly some conflict there, but the majority of it was coming from the fact that the Greeks had settled here in Corsica, which, as you can see, Corsica is really not that far from the Etruscan homeland. So eventually the Etruscans would ally with the Carthaginians. Now, the Carthaginians were not quite the empire that you see here today, or anywhere near the extent that they would eventually reach. They were having a lot of conflict with the Greeks here over Sicily, as well as control over the maritime trade throughout the Mediterranean. So the Carthaginians were consistently in conflict with the Greeks, and thus the Etruscans allied with them. And there were some wars between these two alliances. The Greek powers here in southern Italy and Sicily and Corsica allied against the Etruscans and the Carthaginians. And we won't go too much into those wars. It's really difficult to say who exactly won them. They're kind of like toss-ups where, both sides lost a little bit in it. Eventually, the Greeks did give up Corsica to the Etruscans, which is how they have this land here in the game. Now, the height of Etruscan power was in the 6th century BCE. That's when they would be expanding up here against the Gauls and taking over parts of northern Italy. They had also already conquered all this area here, not all of this, but a big chunk of this here. So they had Rome under their control, and they were the dominant power in Italy at the time. And it was at the end of this period, the end of the 6th century, that we'd see the beginning of the decline of Etruscan civilization, and it really kind of started with the rebellion of Rome. So Rome would, and this is a very elaborate story that we could go into and talk about, because we do have a lot of details of the story from the Romans of the overthrow of their kings in, I think it's 509 BCE, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it's 509. They overthrow Tarquinius Superbus, who was an Etruscan king, part of an Etruscan dynasty that was ruling Rome at the time. So with the overthrow of the kings, the Romans create their republic, and while it's not exactly the same structure as what we see here, which is of course a couple hundred years after the overthrow of the kings, so it wasn't exactly the same, but there are many parts of it that are reminiscent of what we see in this government here, where you had the two consuls and the Senate. So that's where they create the Republic, and that is also where the Romans start kind of taking over as the main power in Italy, taking that over from the Etruscans. And Roman dominance was not inevitable. Many of you guys may know that the city of Rome was sacked by the Gauls in the early part of the 4th century BCE. And it was actually that action that resulted in the Etruscans and many other tribes and peoples here in Italy deciding that this was the time to try and challenge Rome before they became too powerful. And the Romans, rebounded very quickly, even after having their city sacked, and they won all those subsequent wars against their allies, including against the Etruscans. That resulted in them conquering big parts of this area here and pushing into modern day Tuscany. And then it was in the 3rd century that we saw the eventual conquest of all of the Etruscan Empire by the Romans. So in the 3rd century, the city-states of Etruria become part of the Roman Republic, and it was, I think, 90 BCE when they were eventually given Roman citizenship and thus became fully Roman in a sense. That was the end of the Etruscans. So now what were the legacies of these people? Well, they very much handed much of their culture to the Romans. The Romans, while very much influenced by the Greeks, were actually quite influenced by the Etruscans as well, perhaps more so. The Etruscans heavily influenced the Roman culture and religion. One example is something we've already mentioned, the family tombs. The Roman aristocrats would, or the Roman senators would, build family tombs in the same style as the Etruscans. Their temples had a style that they took from the Etruscans. The Etruscans also built their first drainage system here in the city of Rome. They're responsible for that. They also taught the Romans hydraulic engineering, so the Romans learned that from the Etruscans. Another influence, which is a thing that we all think of when we think of Rome, we don't think of this, we don't associate this with the Etruscans, is gladiatorial combat. That started in Etruria, not in Rome. The idea of gladiatorial combat, two men fighting for the entertainment of others, that was taken from the Etruscans. Another thing they got from the Etruscans is the practice of divination, the idea that you can tell the future, prophecies, by doing certain things, whether that's looking at the way some birds are flying, or whether it's, cutting up open an animal and looking at their entrails to tell the future. I mean, there's many different ways to doing it, looking at the clouds, and that tells you. But the point is, it was something that was practiced across many, many societies, including in Greek society. But the Etruscans believed in it heavily. It heavily influenced everything with their culture, and you'll see the same thing in Rome. The Romans heavily believed in divination and the idea that you could tell the future and hopefully also control it in that sense. So they got that more from the Etruscans than they did from the Greeks or any other society. So that's really the legacies of the Etruscan civilization, is what they passed on to the Romans. So yeah, that's the end of today's lecture. I don't know if we'll do one on the Punic Wars now. Maybe. We'll see, guys. We'll see if we have time, because I do like keeping these separated a little bit, because I know not everybody likes them. They take a big chunk of the episode up, so I know not everybody likes them, so therefore we won't have, I don't want to have them like every other video or anything like that. You only want to have, I try and do them like maybe one every 5 videos or so at most. So we'll see if we can do one on the Punic Wars. It will likely take more than one war to defeat Carthage, so we should be able to talk about the Carthaginians and the war between them and the Romans at some point. So I hope you guys did find that interesting and you learned something. Maybe you already knew all that, but sometimes it's just interesting. I like learning stuff over and over again personally. I'll read books that I already know everything they have to say, but I find it entertaining to read them again anyways. But yeah, I hope you guys did learn something. I hope you found the lecture interesting. If you happen to have anything to add, because obviously this was, we can only cover so much in this time period, so we kind of got to move it quite quickly, so I'm not talking for hours. But yeah, if you want to add anything down in the comments below, then feel free to do so. Again, I love talking about history, and I'd love to talk to you about the Etruscans or whatever else. So yeah, let's go and get started in today's episode. We left off the last episode at war with the Etruscans, and there's one thing that I really like to mention here in the beginning. So if we look at our technology screen with the martial advances, so I think it was this one here, you'll see we have the law for raising a legion in the capital region. So I've only played on this patch as one country before this Roman one. That was Macedon. And Macedon as a monarchy already starts with the capital legion. So I didn't even know that unlocked the capital legion, because again, Macedon already started with it. So that did unlock a law that we'll take a look at here in a minute. One thing I did get wrong here about this tree is the fact that we actually need to go down both of these branches here in order to get the law for being able to raise a legion anywhere, because this one only unlocks the capital legion, which is the most important one here in the early game, because we wouldn't get many like troops in a legion in another area anyways. And I'll show you guys how legions work once we design our own legion. But yeah, we do have to go down both of these. This does require it. I didn't know that because when I went down this last time, I'd already gone down both of them, because when I played that Macedon campaign, I will admit I was kind of more experimenting, and I was just kind of picking anything like that looked good at the time, and that's why we're doing it a little bit different in this campaign, because I learned that if you try and do that, if you don't really focus down one branch, then you're not going to get some of the best stuff, which some of the best advances are at the bottom of these branches. So if you go and try and get like everything, you'll never make it to the down to the bottom. And so therefore, I'd already gotten all these, so I didn't know that you had to have both of them. I thought it was either or, but you can see from the arrows. So if it has like a solid, I guess this is a red or maroon color here. If it has the solid color arrow, then you need, that advancement. You can see we have 2 of them here. If we were to look at this one here, you see it's a yellow triangle, and in that case, or yellow arrow, whatever you want to call it. So in that case, we'd need either this one or this one. You don't need both of them. So I just didn't even notice that, guys. So we do need both of those. But essentially what this does is this will unlock a law here, which we were looking at the laws last episode, and I didn't even see this was unlocked. The Punic Reforms. So this will allow us to raise a legion in the capital region. And then it also has different modifiers. You can see the levy size multipliers a lot lower. We also lose the monthly war exhaustion bonus, but we get increased manpower. We'll take a look at all that when we design our legion. We can't do that in the middle of a war, guys, so we're going to have to do it after this conflict is over. It would have been nice to have a legion for this, but, this is fine. We were already defeating them pretty easily as it is, so I don't think we need anything to make this campaign easier. So yeah, let's go ahead and let it play finally. It looks like we did sack that city there, and we're going to be gentle on them, since the Etruscans are our friends. So let's go and take this location here. Again, that's what we're going to have these guys do, is kind of take any capital areas that aren't protected by a fort. So these guys here, I guess we'll just, I think I said I was going to do this last episode. I kind of want to separate them, but we'll just go in and send the whole army here to attack there. I want to keep them together because if we separate them into two, like one to take this fort here, I'm worried that that army would be larger than them and would be able to attack them and destroy them. Because remember, they can get up to like 8,000 men. So if we split this into like 6 and 6, then they would be able to attack the one of those armies and perhaps win. Expansion of the tribes. Since Romulus founded our great city, its citizens have been divided into the tribes. Originally, it was an ethnic distinction, but since the Republic was formed, the tribes have been divisions of eligible citizens whose local consensus is submitted as a vote in the tribal assembly in Rome. The number of tribes has fluctuated throughout history. Beginning with merely 3, there are now over 30. Added or redrawn as our state has grown, new tribes are formed as our citizen population rises to better represent the opinions of the whole Republic. There have lately been calls to create 2 more tribes, to be named these 2 names, to ensure votes are fairly distributed. So we can say this should please the provinces, in which case we will get a 0.05 province loyalty bonus for 60 months, so 5 years. And then we'll also get a local population growth of 0.25% for much, much longer. Okay, that's actually pretty damn good. Or we can say we have enough tribes, in which case we just get penalties. I don't know why we wouldn't do that. I don't know if there's something here that it's not telling us about these choices. But yeah, I don't know why you would want to do this one here. This seems terrible. So yeah, we're going to go with this option because it seems the clear choice. We do have low food. Oh, here. Okay. Not surprising. These guys here taking this siege. We finally got the ships there to help them out, so this should go much quicker now. Yeah, you can see we already did make some good progress there. Making good progress here as well. And then these guys will go over here and grab this for us. And since we did take these capital regions, we now occupy all of this here. And I have no idea what these guys are doing, but I think they're in another conflict up here in the north. So I think what happened is they just got defeated and now they're retreating from that. And thus we have been able to completely wipe out those 2,200 troops. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the entire Etruscan army. Yeah, because I think when we shot them up there, they had like 3,000 something men. We can assume they got up to like 4,000 before they got there. They got defeated, lost some, and now they're down to 2,000 when they hit here. And I think we just destroyed their army, guys. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and split this. We're going to split this army up, guys, and send 6,000 to go ahead and start taking the forts up here. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. Create a new unit. And we will have to... Yeah, we're not going to be able to spend just the light infantry here. I'll send a few of these guys, but let's do one more. And then maybe give them some other units as well. We'll give them one of these. And maybe some of these heavy infantry too. Do like, I don't know what we're currently at because I haven't been paying attention here. But let's do maybe one more. Maybe that's enough. It seems like we have a lot more troops here though. We could give them some cav. Let's do that. And we'll see what the numbers are. The problem here, of course, is that we actually have, a lot of these guys have a lot of casualties. So that's what the issue is. But that looks good. Let's see how large this army is. It's 4,500. I don't even know if that'll be enough to take the fort. So let's just take a look and see. Yeah, it's just a level 1 fort here. So yeah, that should be enough. So let's go and send them up here and hope that I'm right. That the army was destroyed and there's nobody up there that's going to destroy this army of ours. So we did win here. That's excellent news. And we're going to go ahead and just be gentle with it. That was an easy battle since that was not a fort. I know there's one more fort. It's right here. I don't think... We can take it right now, but we're going to have assistance. Because we need 2,000 men per level of fort. And so unless our allies help us, then this won't work. Because if we take any casualties, which we will, from like attrition, then we would no longer be able to siege it. And it looks like I was wrong. They do still have an army here. So let's go ahead and send these guys back over to here so we don't get destroyed. I know they don't have a very large army, but it's certainly large enough to destroy these guys. So yeah, we'll just keep them all together. I think that's the best way to do it. They could have come over here and attacked these guys, but we do have this 5,500, and I feel confident that we could retreat them. So yeah, we'll just keep all of our army together. I think that's the best way to do it. And I don't know how much food we have. It looks like we're good for food right now. So we did finish sacking that city. Excellent. That's very, very nice, because now we have this whole region. We just need to take this fort here. I think that's the last one. Just take a look. Yep, that fort is the last one, and then we have everything with the exception of the far north here. So, you know what? Let's go ahead and get these guys moving. We might give them 500, make sure that we don't have to rely on allies to assist us. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll give them 500 men and get them moving over to here. And then this 4,000 here is going to attempt, or excuse me, 5,000 here is going to attempt to engage the enemy. Hopefully in a location where we have a benefit. Let's move them over here, and you know what? We might go ahead and keep this army, or even split off. Yeah, just leave the bare minimum here, so we can go ahead and attack those guys now that we'll have a bit of assistance. So I'm trying to see the province here, so let's just take a look. Okay, so we actually do need a fairly large army here to get this done. So let's just take a few more troops off of this one. We don't want to get too many out of here. Maybe these here. I don't know if that's going to be large enough though. So we might have to send some of the light infantry here, because I did this a little bit differently than what I was initially planning on doing here. So yeah, let's just go and take a couple of light infantry out of here and send them over to here. All right, so that'll give us 6,000 plus the 5,000 here, easily outnumbering their 8,000 men. And let's make sure, oh, well, we can't merge those two anyway. So yeah, they're attempting to take that back. It looks like they're about to be successful. Let's go ahead and have these guys merge. So we have 6,200 here. We could win there, but by the time we get there, they would have taken it, and then it would be an attack across the river into hills, so probably not the best. So yeah, that's going to flip all that over to their control. And it looks like this was 2 armies. Okay, my bad, guys. So we need to bring these guys as well. It kind of sucks that you can't, like, merge them. I understand what the idea here is, because they're from different units, so they don't want you merging them. Yeah, we want to attack them right there in that forest location. But I don't think there's going to be any way to do that without getting the penalty, unless we attack from this side here. But it is a very small army, so we should be able to do it. Let's go across the river then. Just waiting for this army here. And they should be here in no time. There we go. Let's go and get these guys moving over this way. And yeah, we'll try and get this army destroyed again as we knock out these 2 sieges here. The co-consul died. Okay, the head of the Fabii family. A note about this. So I've had a lot of people comment that with the double E's, this is just pronounced as an E sound, the Fabii family, not the Fabii family. Now, I looked it up, and apparently there are many ways to pronounce this, because there's many different types of Latin, and in most types of Latin, they are correct. You would pronounce this in Fabii as Fabii and not Fabii. However, there are some forms of Latin where it would be Fabii, and that's actually a really popular mispronunciation, again, kind of similar to Imperator, or the Optimates would be another example of words where you're wrong in saying them that way, but they are a popular enough mispronunciation, and Latin, of course, is kind of a dead language, other than the Catholic Church using it. No countries use it, and so therefore some people say it's fine to say it as Fabii. To be more correct, we probably should pronounce it as Fabii, but Fabii sounds so much better, man. Like Fabii or Claudie, I don't know, man. I'm kind of tied to that one. I kind of feel like with this case, I almost want to say it the wrong way, intentionally, just because I think it sounds better. And again, it's not, entirely wrong. Kind of depends. So we're going to attack these guys here. They're going to leave. We should be able to win easy enough. And these 5,000 men will ensure that the 8,000 don't come down and destroy us. So we'll stop them from taking that there. We don't need these guys over here anymore. In fact, we might not need them anymore at all, because I don't know where their fleet is. I'm assuming it's got to be in one of these ports here. So if we took those ports, they can't be there because we already controlled that for a time, I think. Oh no, you know what? We never did control that. So they could be there. I don't really know. But let's just go ahead and have these guys come back onto this side for now. And with the hope that they're over in this area here. Alright, so we didn't catch them. I thought it said we were going to catch them. Alright, so that's unfortunate. Alright, so now they're going that way. Let's go up here and attack these guys here. We'll be in the hills, but we will outnumber them. And we got to fight them. Alright, so just another civil war ending. Doesn't really concern us at all. And, oh yes, that's right. We have a position open because we have a new co-consul He is from the Fabii family. This is Quintus, and apparently he's got the same zeal as his predecessor did, 6, so we're not really getting much there from him, so it's really not all that advantageous having him here. But let's go ahead and get his office filled in, because he was the tribune of the plebs. We could take a look at the family situation here. Everybody just has 2. Somebody asked me, you know, we created that little separate fleet and then put one of our characters there as a commander just to try and appease them. Somebody asked if couldn't you just create a bunch of like one ship fleets just to try and get everybody up to grateful. You can. There's no reason you can't do that. I'm not going to do that because it's kind of gamey. It's one thing to do it for one guy. It's a whole other thing to try and do it with all of them. So I'm not going to do that. And then also when you go to war, you know, you got to keep them all separated or else piss off the family or lose the bonuses. And then you got to separate them again and put the commanders back. And so it's just a pain in the butt. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, you absolutely can do that. So it doesn't really matter who we give this to. We're just going to pick the best candidates. Because yeah, we can't really get anybody appeased with us, or grateful, I should say. We will go with one of the families if they're the best, which in this case, yeah, this guy is. So let's go ahead and appoint him. And he actually has decent statesmanship, so he's not starting as low as he could be. So we didn't send both of those guys. Let's get them moving up here. It looks like we might have one big battle, maybe. We'll go and take that. We'll go after them. And then we'll have these guys come down here. And I assume they're going to want to stop going. But maybe not. Yeah, they might try and fight that 5,000, in which case we would... I don't know if we're going to get the train bonuses. We would, yes. Okay, so we're going to get there first, so they're going to attack us. So that means that they should be attacking across the river as well. Let me just double check on that. 22nd of May, 20th of May, yes. So we will get there first, but it's going to be 2,500 men for several days alone. So hopefully they don't get destroyed. All right, so we have an event about a wealthy patron. The city of Heraclea has been often overlooked by the wealthy patrons of our capital. Today, however, Gnaeus Flavius has offered to spend a sizable quantity of his wealth on constructing a grand temple to Apollo. He has requested our permission before he embarks upon construction. So we say, very well, in which case he'll gain popularity and he'll lose money. He will become pious, and we're going to get a library there. And we'll also get local population happiness. We can instead say convince him to invest in other avenues, in which case he'll lose popularity and loyalty. He'll become cruel instead, and we'll get slaves there, 2 slave pops. Or we can say surely we can let him decide what it needs, in which case he's going to get even more popularity, but he will lose loyalty. Okay. And then 1 of 3 options will happen, and it'll be one of those 3 buildings. Alright, I don't know why we'd want to lose loyalty. Yeah, I think we should just go ahead and say very well, let them build the library. Yeah, we'll do that. Seems like the best option. Alright, so we're going to have a battle here. And we're almost done with these sieges, I think. Yeah, they're progressing nicely. So we're having a battle here. It looks like just 1,500 attack initially. Alright, so you can see our commander is clearly better here. Yeah, much, much better. And you're getting a penalty there. And actually getting a bonus right there. Okay. The discipline is almost the same. Their discipline's not bad. Interesting. Alright, so yeah, that battle, is that already over? Yeah, it looks like it's already over. We lost 103, they lost 183. Alright, so they're going to attack again. Oh, no, they're not. They decided not to attack them. Alright, can we just keep these guys here then? Let's let them go here and see what these guys do. I'm going to try and take this. If they want to attack across the river into hills, then they can do that. That'd be kind of silly if they were to do that. They're probably going to come over and attack the 6,500. So let's go ahead and start moving over there to help them. Though we probably don't want to go that way. In fact, we probably want to be wise about how we do this. This isn't the plains. Yeah, we should probably wait to go. They're locked to there, but they just immediately attack back. Let's give them a couple days to get over there, and then we'll go across and see where they go next. Okay, awesome. So I'm glad I didn't do that, because they're going to come down this way now. All right, so we're going to take this back, since this is key here. And this siege is just about done, so we'll have access to those 2,500 men again. And we'll bring them up north here. So there we go. This has been seized. Excellent. Let's go ahead and see what they're doing now. They really don't know what they're doing. They seem to be incredibly confused. So let's go ahead and start moving down. and see if we can't get these guys to engage us. Seems that we might get the bonus there. I think we're gonna get there first. Yeah, so they decided not to move there. So now we need to try and see if we can attack these guys before they come down into our territory and start attacking us. Alright, so let's go and start moving all these guys down south. And these sieges are progressing nicely, but not quite done. And I don't know if we're going to come up here and get all this. We'll see, you guys. So we are engaging those 2,000 men there. This is going to be a nice, easy, and quick battle here. And we're able to wipe out half of them. And so now they're on the retreat, so it's just this 7,000 now. So let's go ahead and send everybody in here. We don't want them to take that back. Now they're going to try and leave. They're not going to get out of there in time. So that's excellent. We did finish up this siege here. All right, lovely. So let's go ahead and have them, I suppose, move over to this one here, since we won't need them in this battle. We got 11,000 men here to take care of these guys, so it shouldn't be too difficult. There we go. Nice big battle here to force them to retreat all the way up north, where hopefully we can stop them from coming back south again. So yeah, we're gonna be gentle on the looting. We have one that there, and let me just see. Well, we'll wait until they finish occupying all this. Let's go and move these guys over to this fort here. That we do have to go some weird route to do this. Let me just double check fort size here. Yeah, it really doesn't matter how we do this. So let's go and send these guys. See how we might want to do this. Let's go and can we merge these? We can. All right, so let's go to merge them, and let's just create a small army of the light infantry, because we're probably still going to have to engage these enemy armies. So we're going to have them go up there. Yeah, they're going to go up there. We want the 4,000 man army to go up here instead. All right, so once this battle is done, it does look like we did take considerable casualties. Yeah, we took 3,800 while they only took 2,600. That's surprising. Yeah, that we took so many casualties. And now we did have the train penalty, so there's that. But I thought the fact that we had such a better marshal that would have offset that. But apparently not. We took a lot more casualties than they did. All right, so that's not the way to win this war, guys. So yeah, let's go move these guys up here. And we're going to attempt to fight them somewhere up here. Just get all of our armies going over that way. It'll take them a bit of time. And yeah, we'll start these two sieges here. I guess we can go here. Yeah, there's the fleet. All right, so let's go move these guys here now. And then we'll attempt to engage their 13 ships. Senatorial resistance. So this is another thing I've learned about pronunciation. Apparently the C is always pronounced like with the K sound. So Lucius is actually Lucius. Didn't know that. So Lucius has proven to be a contentious candidate as consul. Previously an outspoken critic of the government, he was spoken of with contempt during meetings of the Senate. All were surprised, therefore, when he was elected to rule Rome, casting aside any notions of propriety and class. With such overwhelming popularity amongst the elite, it is hard to see how Lucius will get anything done. So we can say it is not worth upsetting the balance just yet, in which case we'll lose approval with two of our political parties, or you say bring them to heel. Vague threats never hurt anyone, in which case we're going to lose stability and gain tyranny. Alright. That seems like a much worse penalty, honestly, than just losing a little bit of support here. Alright, so yeah, he was elected. Oh, okay, we just had the election. I see. I missed the entire notification about that. So we now have two new consuls. Got it. Although I think this is the same consul here. Yeah, I think that's the previous co-consul who just took over. So this is our new consul, Lucius, and he has a little bit lower martial, but still pretty high. Finesse is pretty good. Charisma is very, very good, and his zeal is at least higher than the co-consul or our previous consul, so that's higher as well. And you can see what the bonuses of these are when you hover over them. So yeah, I think we can lose a little bit of popularity here with these guys. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's only 10 approval. So it looks like we do have a scorned family now. Oh yes, they're scorned. All right, so we're gonna have to find somebody to appease them. Oh, okay, these are the two that were elected. So we need to get those positions filled in the first place. I think we should have our better character down here. So let's put the level 11 Quintus Marius here so we can get that aggressive expansion reduction, get it as high as possible. And then this one can just be a throwaway position that we give to the Fabii family, or Fabi family, so that we can get them happy and they're no longer scorned. All right. So we're starting these sieges here. I think these guys will end up engaging them there in the hills. I don't know if they would win that battle, actually. We might just want to go here, see if they'll move until we get a larger army to come up here. All right, so these guys are on their way. So let's go and send this army here to push them out of the port. And we have these guys selected, which I don't want. And I don't know... Oh, okay, somebody's got some mercenaries over here fighting. Interesting. So who all are these guys at war with? All right, so they're at war with them. All right, so basically a whole bunch of tribes up here in the north. They're trying to expand. I think they started that war after, so kind of strange that they did that. So yeah, we'll take as much as we can in this area. All right, so these guys are going here now. And I think they're retreating to that fort right there. Yeah, I think that's where they're going to end up going. So we're probably want to send the entire army over there. We have a new military structure. It seems Lucius has really taken to his job as general. I want to see if this has to do with his the agenda. The agenda is actually confiscation. We can get 10 approval from the Popularis family, or Popularis party, if we were to take 5 holdings from the heads of families. Of course, that would irritate them. Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that, guys. I mean, it would be an easy way to get 10 approval, but yeah, we're going to piss off a bunch of other people doing it. So yeah, this does not have to do with the agenda. So let me just check here. So he is part of the Popularis faction. What about his co-consul? Just kind of curious. They both are. Okay. It seems Lucius is really taken to his job as general, and this is not our Lucius, the consul. This is the governor of Magna Graecia. Who they're talking about. They have the same name here. As he started to reworking the whole infrastructure of the troops assigned to him. However, with these changes, we have started seeing a lot of officers and troops who are loyal to the general over Rome, a troubling development for what the future might hold. So we can say Lucius knows best, in which case 50% of the troops assigned to him will become loyal, and I don't think he has a ton of troops down there, honestly. I think he has like 5, yeah, maybe 5 units, 2,500 total, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not a lot. That'd be like two units becoming loyal to him, and he'll also increase his martial ability by 1, so that'll be helpful. Or we can say it is time to intervene and put an end to this nonsense, in which case he'll lose 15 loyalty, and he's not very loyal to begin with. So we'll just say this one here. I'm not too worried about it because he doesn't really command a lot of troops. If he had more troops under his command, then it would be more of an issue. So they did all come over to here, and we will be gentle. And so that's going to push these guys out to sea. We'll be able to attack them. Let's go and get all these armies coming over to here. I think that might be where we end up fighting them. Not sure, but we'll see. So I think this is the location where there's the fort, and it's already currently being attacked right now, isn't it? Yes. So we'd have to wait. We might not be able to get control of that, and really we should probably just focus on... so we did have the sea battle. We lost 0 ships while they lost 2. And so now they're going to flee to the nearest port, which I don't know where that's going to be. I think they're going to have to go... Oh, right here. They'll probably go over that way. All right, so that means we're done. And it seems that we actually didn't just destroy those ships. We actually captured them because we're at 20 ships now. Let's go and bring them back to port. I don't know if we'll need them again, so we'll just keep them in port. But yeah, there's nothing to really have them out for right now. And again, I do assume those 11 ships are just going to run and hide. So we did take that. I guess we can send some troops to grab this here. Let's go ahead and have... Yeah, we're going to go ahead and send just a few troops over there to get that taken. Are these 2 armies here? No, that's 1. This is several armies. Okay, so we could just send one of them. We'll send this army over there just to grab that province real quick. And then we'll have all the provinces taken that we can get with the exception of this location that we're currently sieging. And we'll just finish that siege and get that knocked out, and then that'll be the end of the conflict, and we'll take as much as we can. We already have 99 war scores, so we don't even have to take that. But if we want to get control of it, we do have to take it. So we'll go ahead and try and get control of it, while they'll take that location right there. And there's really not much we can do about that. They have such a similar color here that it looks like we have that occupied, but they in fact do. And they might be trying to take it back now. I don't really know what's going on. A lot of weird stuff happening up there. We could have had these guys come take this, but I got them waiting just in case they leave here. I'd love to send our troops over there. And so yeah, we're just waiting for this siege to finish up. We do have an omen we can call. And I think we're going to go in and get something that's going to help us out economically, or maybe even with aggressive expansion. So you know what, let's wait until the war's over. I want to see how high aggressive expansion is going to be and whether we want to go with that route or not. It's hard to say. How much we're going to get. I'm going to try and take as much as possible, of course. And so with that, we won't have the Etruscans defeated because I'm not going to go across here right now, guys, and take that. I don't think we'll be able to get it all. I guess we can see. Let's get this, or we can go and look at it now real quick and see how much we can get here. Yeah, well, you know what? We might be able to take everything, honestly. Yeah, we actually probably could get this territory over here if we just sent some troops to take it. So you know what, guys? Let's go ahead and do that. I'd love to get the Etruscans completely defeated if we can. So how large is the fort? I don't want to send any more than we have to. They don't even have a fort over here. Okay, so we're going to send, I guess we'll send them because they're already in a port. So let's go and get the fleet over there so we can transport them. And yeah, we'll send them over here. Why not? See if we can't get them all taken in one time. I think these guys might not be at war anymore. They're not. So we can go ahead and take that fortification as well. Let's go and attack over there. It's going to result in a small battle here. We'll outnumber them significantly, so I'm not too worried about it. Alright, so yeah, we'll attack them right there. Let's go and get these 4,000 coming over here. Again, don't really need 4,000 for this, but we'll send them anyway. That battle is done. Excellent. So now we're going to want to take over that fort. Let's go and have these guys move over to here now, or both of them move over to here. And let's go and get these guys moving over to here. So we'll just take this one location, and that should give us all of it. And the rest of it would need to be colonized. Alright, so I don't think those have been hired. No, those are not hired right now. They do have their fleet here, so we'll get to battle them again. Maybe we'll capture some more troops. Alright, so let's go ahead and have these guys attack the port and get it taken over. And then we'll be waiting on these two sieges still. This was probably the siege here we'll be waiting on because they only took this one province here in the conflict. That is all. Okay, so these are future enemies, of course, that we'll have to deal with. Yeah, we might want to do the aggressive expansion omen, but I don't want to use it until the last minute because it doesn't really give us any bonus here because we don't have aggressive expansion issues. So we've taken that fort. Excellent. So now we're just waiting on this fort to finish up here. We're going to send them more troops, although I guess that would cause some issue. In fact, we should probably take some of these troops and get them out of there. There's no armies we have to worry about, and they're just exhausting the food here. Yeah, let's go and get these guys out of there. Alright, so with this taken, that'll force the fleet out here to battle us, and it'll flip everything except for that one. That one's not flipping. I think we have to wait for this one to flip first. So we got another sea battle going on here. It looks like they lost 3 ships, and we captured some of those. Alright, fantastic. Now, I don't know where they're going to go at this point. Like, where else can they go? Yeah, they don't have any ports to go to. Maybe an allied port. Let's go and send these guys back. And we did capture one of those, so we now have 21 ships. Not bad. And oh, we actually engaged them there again because they didn't have anywhere to go. And so with that, we now have 26 ships. And we also captured an enemy. So we can flog them, or we can just release them. One option is, although we can't do that right now, one option is to have them do gladiatorial battles. You gotta have 2 prisoners, and then you can have them fight each other, and then whoever wins the fight is freed, and of course the person who loses is dead. But you have to have 2 people in your prison in order to do that. To be able to look at who's on your prison, you just go to your characters here, and you can sort by any of these up here. If you press it once, you get the check mark. That means you're just looking for those characters that are imprisoned or whatever. Or you can press the X, which means that you're looking for everybody who's not imprisoned. So that's the one imprisoned character. Alright, so yeah, just waiting for that siege, and then we are done. And we took that over. I'm not even going to move across the sea, guys. We'll just leave them over here. And just wait. just be patient here and get this siege done. So might as well just speed it up since that's all we're currently waiting on. It's for the siege to get done, and then we'll take over all their territory. Again, it is not like other Paradox games where like a war like this would take multiple, it had multiple conflicts in order to get control of all this territory here. Part of that would be because of war score. Another part of it would be because you'd get too much aggressive expansion. But yeah, if you're playing in EU4, it'd be a little bit more difficult to conquer this many provinces. Of course, in EU4, this area doesn't have this many provinces. But yeah, it's a lot easier in this game to conquer vast amounts of territory than some of the other Paradox games. Just not as the conquest isn't as limited. You could say that makes sense for the time period, but at the same time, it does seem a little bit easy. So this is saying that we have to end the war here by the time we hit 905 days, or else they'll force an end to the war. So we are actually done. So that's it. I think we conquered everything they have. So let's go ahead and take it all over. So we want to sue for peace. Close that back there. And then, yeah, just go ahead and we'll just reset it. Just take it over again. Didn't really need to do that, but I chose to anyway. So we're going to get all that, and we're also going to get Corsica, and I think that's it, guys. Yep. Yes, sir. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll become a major power with this. All right, so we have to figure out what we want to do with the elite. These are the bonuses that we're getting because we are now a major power. And see what else we have here. We got some prisoners. We need a new governor since we're now in a new area. So we'll have to get a new governor assigned. And we have to deal with the prisoners here. So let's see what we want to do with them. Some of these are Romans here. So these are the Etruscan characters. Let me just see. So that's the Etruscan elite. We'll have to figure out what we want to do with them. Let's move this a little bit. All right, so I think these, okay, so this is the start of the Etruscans, and they probably got some good people, I would assume. Yeah, I'm seeing some decent characters here. So we might want to take the Etruscans, or at least family by family. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. With these guys here, we'll probably get rid of them for the aggressive expansion reduction, unless they got some really amazing characters, which they do not. So yeah, let's go ahead and first deal with them because they're going to be easier. Just get the aggressive expansion reduction, because as you can see, we are getting a lot. We got a lot of aggressive expansion from that conflict, so taking that down would be helpful. Also, we're gonna go ahead and immediately do the omen that's going to reduce the aggressive expansion here for Jupiter. That'll be super helpful. So to reduce that a little bit quicker, and we might also want to do something about the stability, because you can see from the aggressive expansion we're getting a negative 25, so stability will actually be reducing. And while we'd have to spend quite a bit of political influence in order to, completely reduce the negative 24, we could do it just once. And that's what we're going to do. Just do it one time, so it's not as bad. All right, so with the Etruscan elite, we are going to pass judgment on the important families. And we'll take a look and see which characters we'd like to keep here. I don't know if we're going to want to keep them all. Could get a little bit of popularity. We don't really need a lot of popularity, but we will once we keep some of them. So with this family here, we're just going to base this off of... We could go through here and see who we want to keep based on this. I'm only seeing this one character here, so we're not going to welcome him in. What about the... These guys are all right. They got at least one good guy. So let's offer sanctuary to him. And let's take a look at some of these other families here. These guys are pretty damn decent too, or at least they have one decent guy. So we're going to offer him sanctuary. And then probably with the rest of these characters, although he's got a very good martial, he's also decent with finesse. Yeah, we could keep him too. And then with the last one, we'll just have them crucified, getting a little bit of popularity, get us back up to 80 popularity. All right, so we have another trade route in the capital. We'll have to get it set up. Let me see if we have some different missions that we've got completed now. All right, excellent. So the approach to the Greeks, we don't want to do that. I think it's these two up here. So we have unseat the Umbrians and end the Etruscans. All right, well, let's do this one first. And so this is going to result in us getting popularity for the consul. And pretty much the same thing we've seen in the previous events, missions that were pretty much the same as this. So we'll have to pick a location to transfer power to. And seems we do have 4 different choices here. So here's the locations. We have this province here. They're producing wine. Got 26 pops. I think that's the most populous of the 4 options. We have this one here, 15 pops. They produce wine as well. And they already have a level 2 fortress, so that'd be kind of helpful. They also have a library there. I don't know what we have here. They have a port. That's it. Another option would be this one, the City of Metal. So that's what we were talking about before. The Etruscans very much relied on their metal mining to trade. And so this would be one location where we have metal here, 15 total pops, no buildings just yet. And then there's one more option, which is right here, 16 pops, and they produce horses. I think we'll just put it where the fort is. Yeah, that's the way we'll do it. All right, excellent. So that has been moved here now, and we can also go ahead and do that other decision as well. And I suppose we will. We do need to take a look at the fort situation too, and we got to get a governor, and we have to get a trade port. So a lot to do here. I thought we had, we have one more mission. So unseat the Umbrians, and then next would be drive out the Gauls. So let's go ahead and knack that one. And this here would increase popularity, and looks like it's about this area up here. Okay, so we have another mission that we could complete there. All right, so we can't do this one just yet. I think it's because we need to come down here and get control of that area, which will be the next area that we're going to be expanding to, which of course will eventually lead us into Sicily, and we all know that's where we'll probably find ourselves at conflict with the Carthaginians. So we have 4 locations again that we can build this in. So let's just see, this should be over here somewhere. So this is one of them. And this is 9 total pops, no buildings, and they produce olives. Another option would be right here, 7 pops. They're producing vegetables. Okay. This would be another option, 17 pops. They have 2 buildings here. They have aqueducts there. Increase the total population that we can have there. Okay. And then the last option is right up here, 17 pops, no buildings, and they produce olives. All right. This one's leather. I suppose any of these would work. This one's already the capital location of here. Yeah, I don't think it really matters which one we go with. I suppose we'd probably want it in this area here, so we could just put it there. That one's also an option here. Yeah, I think we'll just put it right here. It's fine. I don't really have a preference here, honestly. So yeah, it'll be an Adriatic stronghold. All right, so move that there. And I think that's it for the missions that we might want to do. Actually, it looks like there's one more. Not that one. Oh yes, the drive out the Gauls here. That'll give us increased popularity. Yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and do it. Why not? We're doing all the other ones right now, so might as well do this one. So we can say we'll not get involved in detailed planning. 2 Gallic pops owned in the territories. Okay, so they'll flee to other territories. So yeah, we could do it here in this location. They do produce some wine. They currently have 9 pops. And where is the other location? Right here. So that'd be the other choice, where they currently are producing fish. All right. I guess we'll do it here. Yeah, why not? We'll do it right there. All right. So with that done, we will need to take a look at the fortifications. We need to get a governor assigned as well. I don't know if this has changed requirements for the family here. No, it has not. So we could get the Claudii family appeased by giving them a position, but we'll probably want to get the best character here, honestly. And sometimes, again, it's often a better option to get somebody who's not one of the main families. And we've been kind of flirting with putting Marius here in a position. His loyalty is now much higher. That's the reason why we didn't do it before. He has that 9 martial and the 10 finesse, which is just fantastic. You're just not going to get better than that here with what we see. So yeah, I think it's finally time for Marius to step up. So we'll move him over here. We will probably want to change him. He's currently working on encouraging trade, which is a good one. But again, we're trying to convert everybody here. So let's go with the cultural assimilation. We'll just take the penalty there for that. We can't go ahead and disband our military. We haven't done that yet, so let's go ahead and disband all levies. And looks like we're good to go. We now have a new region, so we have more levies we can raise. And we'll have to create that legion next episode. We're not going to do that this episode, guys. The last thing we're going to do is set up a trade route here. Yeah, get a trade route for the capital. Figure out what we want to get. I think we still need stone. But there wasn't any stone to import before, so let's see if that has changed, if we now have some stone to get. I do want to take a look, see if there's any papyrus here before. There's not. Okay, just wanted to confirm that hasn't changed yet, because we do want papyrus once we can get it. All right, so there is a option to trade for stone here. Awesome, so that's what we're going to do. This is going to be trading with Egypt. All right, so that'll give us that build cost bonus back that we lost before. And that is unfortunately going to have to be the end of the episode, guys. We do need to take a look at the forts. Yeah, we got like 2 forts here. That's unnecessary. There's no reason to, to have both of these. This one here protects, although we don't actually control that region, do we? Yeah, we don't currently control that province right there. So we don't actually need to protect that. But this one protects here too. It's probably the best location, honestly, and I think they're both level 1 forts. And let me just make sure that this is not the capital region. It is not. This is actually currently the capital province here. So yeah, I don't see any reason to keep it. It doesn't really matter which one you keep, honestly. I guess we'll just get rid of this one here. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. Though this one does protect more provinces. So another benefit of doing this one here is it's in the hills. So yeah, let's go and get rid of that. Help us save some damn money. We're also going to want to change up our maintenance. We don't want to pay for that fleet. We don't really want to pay for the forts either. We haven't got rid of enough forts though, I don't think. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of forts over here. This is entirely unnecessary. This amount of forts. So let's just get rid of a lot of them. Oh, nope, this is still under the control of our vassal, which we have not finishing annexing just yet. Okay, so we have that one. I think that's probably good for now. We'll probably want to... we still do have far too many forts, honestly. Probably do need to reduce those a little bit more, especially considering the fact that we're not really under threat of invasion. We do need to get a fort up here, though. Yeah, clearly should get a fort up here. Get that built. We do have the money to do so as well. So I guess we'll put a fort here in this hill province. Just get one going. So we have one there. And yeah, I guess that's good for right now, guys. Yeah, I probably should further reduce it a little bit. Maybe one of these ones or something, but for right now, this will work. Currently, our economic situation is we're making money. That's what matters. So yeah, we are, I think, still... Okay, so we're still swaying these guys. We haven't started the annexation of them just yet. So we actually have this city under construction here as well because of those choices that we made there. But yeah, we have not started the annexation yet. We don't have them up to 190. I think we're still working on that, though. Let me just see how far we've gotten. So yeah, we're at 61 there. You can see it here, too, at 59. So we continue to get it up higher. I think we're going to have to bribe them, though. Yeah, we're going to have to bribe them. We won't be able to get high enough. Now, we are getting a penalty here from the aggressive expansion, so the opinion will continue to increase as we burn off that aggressive expansion. So yeah, we still need to get those 2 annexed. The next conflicts, I mean, we have multiple places we still have to attack here. We still need to attack these 2, which I think they are allied. Yeah, so that'll be one conflict there. And then next it'll be attacking down this way, get control of these provinces here, and maybe even go ahead and get control of part of Sicily. So those are the next 2 conflicts. We'll worry about going farther north later. We'll just have these fortifications here to protect it. And yeah, we'll focus on getting the rest of Italy dealt with, get the south taken care of, and then we can focus on the north at some other point. So I hope you guys did enjoy today's extra long episodes, which I do try and make them a little bit longer if we have these historical lectures. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. I do hope to see you guys on the next episode, which remember will not be until Tuesday. So I'll see you guys on Tuesday, and thanks for watching.